Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to the Lioness Den. Hey, we are so happy you have decided to join us today. This is our quarterly mental health moment. We do this about 3 to 4 times a year where myself and some ladies come together and we have a topic in mental health that we discuss. And today is just like always, we will be discussing making intentional decisions. So I ask as we begin that you subscribe, share this broadcast with your friends and family, and let's talk about making intentional decisions. Good morning. We are back, and today we're talking about making intentional decisions. I'm going to introduce our panel to you right now, and then we're going to get started. Hey, guys, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning. Um, so today we have our stellar panel that we always have on our mental health moments. I don't think we've done one now for a while without these ladies, and so we're going to start. We have Nurse Tammy Saunders, Miss Adrienne Hollimon, and Miss Ebony Vaughan. We're going to start with introductions, and then we'll get into the conversation. Tammy, can you start for us?
Good
Good
morning,
morning, everyone.
everyone. My name, of course, is Tammy Saunders. On Instagram, I am Nurse Tammy R. On Facebook, I'm Tammy R. Saunders. And I'm a minister. I'm a mom. I'm a grandmom. I'm a friend. And I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having us.
Hi, I'm Ebony Vaughan. I am a clinician and a faith filled believer, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay. And then I muted myself, guys. It was me. And then Adrienne, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Adrienne. I'm Adrienne Hollimon, and I'm like the other ladies, a faith-filled believer, and I am a coach. You can find me on Facebook, Discovering Treasures Life Coaches, or Instagram, DT Dream Coach. A coach, an author, mom, and grandmom.
Mhm.
So that's who I am.
Yay, we're here today.
Yay.
Ladies, it's been so long. It feels like a long time since we've talked. I'm for real. It feels like it's been ages. But I know that we are going to have a great time
Mhm.
today. Look, today we are talking about making intentional decisions. And we had a brief discussion before we started. But we're talking about how this year we started off with our goals, setting our goals for 2022 with Miss Adrienne Holliman down here in my view, she's in the bottom corner. And
Mhm.
so we want to do some catching up on with making intentional decisions. And in January and February, we made our goals. We said where we're going. And a lot of times by this time of the year, life is making the decisions for us. We're no longer making the intentional decisions. Our circumstances is making the decisions for us.
Mhm.
And so today we really want to discuss kind of let's get back on track and make some intentional decisions. So to start us off, um, let's. I think we'll start off with Adrienne. Adrienne, can we talk about how life pushes us to this place where we are now before we get to the next part?
Sure. So Lydia talked about making our decisions at the beginning of the year. You know, when we're thinking of our New Year's, we're all pumped and we're ready. This is what I'm going to do. This is my resolutions. These are my goals. I got the energy and everything's flowing. And then life hits. Boom. And so the next thing is like, okay, well, I'm still going to do it. I'm just not going to do it right now. Right now, I'm going to kind of, give it some time, kind of get myself together. And before we know it, we're into November and December. And the things that we said we were going to do weren't going to get done. And so the key to all of it is, as Lydia said, to be intentional. You have to decide that this is what I wrote, this is what I've planned, and this is what I'm going to do. Malcolm X says, by any means necessary, whatever I need to do is what I'm going to do to stay on point. and do what I said I'm going to do. Not easy, but you have to take everything you have to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we're here today, because um you know, we really have a goal for the year. And as wives, moms, sisters, daughters, we want to reach those goals. And our goal here is to help you reach those goals. And so let's think. I'll talk about at the beginning of this year, we did the session with Adrienne on setting our goals. And so I have a list of goals that I have set for the year. Now it's June, and I've done a inventory of how many of those things I've completed. I guess that's how you would say it. And some of them I'm right on track, and some of them I'm not. But today I'm hoping that we help to get back on track. I said earlier, I believe Ebony calls this mindfulness. Is that correct, Ebony?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So can Ebony, can you share with us about just, let's say, mindfulness, I guess is what I want to say, being mindful with our decisions.
Yeah, mindfulness, when we think of the term mindfulness, is actually an intervention that we use that's similar to meditation, where you are focusing, where you are centering your thoughts and centering the environment around you, where you are focused on one thing. And this is to help silence all of the internal noises and to really get you to a place of calm. But one of the things that I was thinking about as Adrienne was speaking is, when we are looking at our goals, whether it's the beginning of the year, the middle of the year, the end of the year, whenever it is so important for us to be very mindful of our capacity and our willingness to do, because we might have goals, right? And we may have things that we really want to do, but sometimes we don't take the time to measure whether or not we have the capacity to do it,
Mhm.
nor the willingness to do it. I might want to start a business or write a book, but if I'm not willing to write every day, if I'm not willing to discipline myself to do it, then it's one of those things that it's not going to get done. And so sometimes people, they view that as kind of a minimalist thing, but I see it as realistic. Sometimes we set goals and we say, well, this year I'm going to do this, but you don't put forth the work to do it. And so sometimes giving yourself the grace is, what, maybe this isn't the time because I have so many other things going. So maybe I should just focus on what I'm doing as opposed to what I want to do, where it's not like you're saying it won't ever get done, but you have to be realistic about your capacity and willingness in that season. And so for me, that has everything to get, to do with giving yourself the grace to grow, because we have a lot of great ideas and a lot of goals that we have in our heads, right? But that doesn't always mean that that we're willing to be disciplined enough to actually carry them out in certain seasons of our lives. So give yourself grace, look at those goals and determine your willingness and your capacity.
That's good.
Very good. Because yeah, like you said, Ebony, a lot of times you have to be ready to do the work.
Yeah.
It that's really it. It's doing the work, and sometimes we're not ready to do the work. The work will take up time, and it will take up that time where you want to watch TV. Sometimes you gotta say,
Yeah.
hey, I gotta put that away. So yeah, doing the work.
And
Um,
I have and Lydia, I just thought about something. I have an excellent example of that. I was working with a young woman who her desire was to go back to school. She has a young child. She's working really hard. She has a lot of things on her plate mentally, emotionally, but she wants to move and she wanted to go back to school. And every time we met, she would say the same thing, this is my dream, this is my desire, this is what I want to do. But every time we talked about the strategies to it, she was exhausted and overwhelmed because of all of the other things. And I said to her, what if you don't go to school this year? What if you
Hmm.
focus on
Wow.
something else?
Good.
Focus on this thing right here that's in front of your face that you're working through and you're struggling through. What if you just focus on that? Sometimes we have the timetable, we have this whole idea of I
Hmm.
need to get this done by this time or that time. And for her, that's what it had to do with. It had to do with she felt like she needed to go to school before a certain time, not really
Hmm.
realizing that she didn't have the bandwidth to do it. And so it really took looking at all of the things
Hmm.
that she was doing and helping her to understand that it's not always about you letting yourself down.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's just about being honest with where you are.
Hmm.
That's good.
That is a major thing, Ebony, that you just said, letting yourself down.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
a lot of us get caught in, I don't want to let myself down and I don't want to appear as failed.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, that's a big one because I have this goal. I haven't really moved towards it. So I feel like I'm failing
Hmm.
and I'm letting myself down along with other people who don't even know about my goal. I feel like I'm letting them down too,
Hmm.
you know, and you really just don't have the bandwidth just to do it. Um, Tammy, can you address how that happens with us as moms, especially?
Hmm. Especially as moms, one thing that I've been kind of zoning in on that we, especially women of color, brown, black women, and so forth, we've been given this whole thing. I'm a tough, strong, and this and that, and we have not allowed ourselves to have places of fragility because then we count that as weakness and so forth. And unfortunately, um, we because of where we've come from as a culture, a lot of times we have been so acclimated to allowing the situations around us to dictate our decisions.
Yeah.
And when you speak of intentional decisions, we're not saying we're ignoring our environment. We're looking at the environment, seeing exactly what's there, and still pursuing what we believe that we want to do, what we believe that we desire to do. I love what Ebony and Adrienne were saying. Know yourself. Set
Mhm.
manageable, attainable goals. For
Mhm.
the first time in my life, at age 61, I set goals for my workout regimen and so forth. And I had all these lofty things. And thank God for a personal trainer that understood me. He said, nope, let's work on going up and down the steps 3 times a week. What? That's nothing. But now that I've incorporated it, that's one thing. And so now I become intentional because now I know what it takes to go up and down the steps 3 times a week. Now I know how to get myself to the point where I can do 3 steps, then 6 steps, let me back down to 5 steps, and then, learn to do that. One of the other things I really would love for us, especially moms, to tap into is that there is so much assistance for us out there. One thing that the pandemic did, it opened up, believe it or not, a Pandora's box of assistance for homes, single families, or whatever. But take advantage of that. There is someone. We're not asking for a handout. We're asking for a hand. We're asking for some assistance. We're asking for us. Now understand, going to school online, the only thing is you don't have to travel to get to the place, but your mind stuff still has to be there. So when you say, I'm going to go to school, but I'm going to go online, you're still going to need a babysitter.
Hmm.
Okay. Part of that intentionality is going to be, I am going to make room for myself. And one of the things that really helps me with the stuff that I'm doing is the way I categorize it. This is for Tammy. If nobody else benefits from it, it's for me. I'm
Yeah.
sure those in my sphere will be like, oh, yeah, I don't care. Y'all wasn't there when I was whining and crying about, this is for me. And once we get back into that mode of taking care of ourselves and taking ownership of the decisions that we've made, then
Yeah.
we're looking toward success. Then we're looking toward wholeness. Then we can serve husband, we can serve our kids, we can serve humanity, but most of all, we can serve ourselves and who God originally intended for us to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as women, taking care of ourselves, that's really important. I think we are probably the only ones, because
Mm,
everybody else seems to take time. Your kids, they gonna go in their room and close their door.
mhm.
You know, your husbands, they gonna do what they have to do. But we tend to have to take care of
Mhm,
everybody before
mhm.
us, not understanding, like the airplane says, to put the air mask on yourself first and
Self
then
first.
your child.
Mhm,
And
Mhm.
sometimes we have to remember that philosophy for ourselves. To survive, we have to make sure we're taking care of us first.
mhm,
Um,
Mhm.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's a statistic that women, especially in our community, pass first most of the time before our
mhm,
counterparts,
mm.
because we're carrying the
Mm.
load.
The
Mhm.
whole load.
We carry
Mhm.
the load, and because we're
Mhm,
carrying the load of
mhm,
the family, the
mhm,
house,
mhm,
um,
mm.
everybody, we're carrying that load. We even carry the load in the community, so we're carrying
Yeah.
that load, and because
Right.
we're carrying that load and not ministering to ourselves,
Mm,
but ministering to everyone else,
Mhm.
then our bodies start to take a hit. Our health
Mhm.
starts to take a hit,
mhm,
and
Mhm.
then we lose our life basically in the end, because those things that hit us overtake us, and now they're without us. And so the
Right.
question is, do you want to be here with them,
mhm,
or not? Because sometimes that's what we have to do, really put it down to those, like, bottom line. Do I want to be here to see my daughter get married?
mhm,
Do I want to be here to
mhm,
see her have children? Do I want to be here to see
mhm,
these things? And if
mhm,
I do, then I need to minister to myself sometimes.
mhm.
And it's
Absolutely.
not
Adrian.
selfish, ladies.
No, it's not.
It
Well,
doesn't.
Adrienne, did I take that from you?
No,
um,
I was getting ready to say on that same note, you have to intentionally celebrate
mhm,
yourself. Celebrate. And I thought about you when you started talking about, some of the goals, some of my goals I did meet, but there's some other ones that's outstanding. Well, hey, celebrate the ones that you did
yes.
meet. You
That's
got
right.
some that you are right on track for. There are a whole lot of
That's
people who didn't get that done. So we've
Absolutely.
got to be intentional to celebrate ourselves and our successes.
Mhm,
And as Tammy said, take care of us. And for me, I will always put me on the back burner. That's been my history. And
mhm.
so this is a small thing. So people that know me know I do like to look good. My appearance is something, but I don't spend money in in designer bags, right? I like to have big money in the bag
yes.
and not have a designer bag. Okay. But I decided, I said, I wanted a Coach bag. Not a big
Mhm,
deal. But I'm like toying of it. My daughter said, if it were for me, you'd buy it. Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yes.
In a heartbeat. Whatever you want, I would get that for you. And so I bought myself a Coach bag at 62,
mhm,
right?
mhm, mhm.
So
Yes.
I'm like, I'm going to be intentional this year. I'm going to celebrate small successes and I'm going to
Mhm,
celebrate me.
mhm, mhm,
Yes.
Awesome.
mhm.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Very
Yeah,
good.
that is awesome. I'm repeating Ebony's words, but that is awesome, because
Mhm,
you really have to be intentional.
mhm,
This is the thing. We
mhm,
get so caught up with life that we miss being intentional about us.
mhm, mhm,
And so life begins to dictate what we do, rather
mhm,
than us having a plan for where we're going.
Right.
And so that
mhm,
plan keeps us on track. And then,
mhm,
it's one of those things where life throws you, what they say, lemons make lemonade. Well, life throws us
mhm,
lemons, and we trying to make lemonade, steak, chicken, and everything else
mhm,
out of the
mhm.
lemon.
And then meringue pie.
Forget,
Mhm,
and we forget that, hey, I had a plan, and I have
mhm.
to get back to the plan, because the plan is what's gonna save me. Um,
Absolutely. Lydia,
yes, ma'am.
even in the Word of God, and I'm gonna bring the Bible up. Okay, I'm
Go
gonna
for it.
bring it up.
Go for it.
The Word of God says the promise is to you, your
Mhm.
children, and your children's children, and as
Yeah.
many as the Lord our God shall call. And I'm mindful of that. I've made some changes. I'm in a whole new different environment, but I'm mindful that the changes that I make, that generations will reap what I'm sowing today. There
Mm-hmm.
might be a brown girl that sees this grandmother
Mm-hmm.
doing something that she'll know when I get older, I can do that. When I've shown my granddaughter and she can
Mm-hmm.
show somebody else's daughter, somebody
Mm-hmm.
else's granddaughter, or her own children, it's
Mm-hmm.
important. There are so many things that have been passed down to us genetically, certain
Yeah.
mindsets. A friend of mine, we were talking about genetic tags simply because of our environment, what we were exposed to. So let's flip the script. We
That's
talk about generational curses. Let's pass down some generational
Yes.
blessings. The blessing is unto 1,000 generations.
yes,
The curse is
yes,
only to 3 or 4 generations.
Come
So
on.
what I do today, the
yeah.
the investment I make in me today, and we're
That's right.
just talking about goals,
Right.
okay? I'm just talking about the goals to be able to walk across the floor without crying. Okay? So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, as I make it, when I'm out in the street, I can have a little bit more struck with me. Okay? And you never know the reason why you're being placed in certain
Yeah.
settings. It
Yes.
is for not just for you, it's for someone else too.
Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would like us to revisit the SMART goals, the acronym for SMART goals,
Okay.
because I think that is really important as we go into the second half of the year to
Hmm.
go back and make, if we haven't made goals, to make goals now. Make that, stop and intentionally make your goals. This is an intentional decision
Hmm.
to, I'm stopping, I'm going to reset, and I'm going to make intentional goals right now. And so the SMART goals, SMART stands for,
Hmm.
and I can say it, and if we want to, discuss it after I say it,
Uh-huh.
but it's specific. S is for
Hmm.
specific. M is for measurable.
Hmm.
A is for attainable, I believe.
Hmm.
R is for realistic,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
T is for time. Am I right?
Time.
Yeah, time
Mm-hmm.
based, right?
Time
Hmm.
based. And so
Hmm.
these SMART goals really help us to make a um, plan, but not just a plan, to set a timeline to that plan. Because sometimes the timeline is what makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a goal, but if you don't have a timeline and you always going to do it tomorrow, tomorrow never comes. Um, there's a
Mm.
statement that says either you plan to fail,
No,
you
either you fail to plan or
fail to
you plan
plan
to
or you
fail. Hmm.
plan to fail. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Thank you, Tammy. So
Hmm.
if we could just go through and talk about SMART goals, I would appreciate it. Anybody can jump in. I don't need to call anybody a point. No, you did.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Well, I
Uh,
think that the
thank
first
you. Hmm.
first thing that I think about when I think about the smart goals is specific, right? Because I
Hmm.
do think that sometimes, as we've already used the word intentional, it's important for us to be very clear about what we're
Hmm.
trying to do, right? I think it's important for us to really be clear about what it is that we are trying to
Hmm.
do, but also why we are trying to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes if we're not clear on our why, it makes
Hmm.
it very difficult to
Blur.
follow
Hmm.
through, right? If
Hmm.
there aren't very specific reasons why, and you're not focused on a specific thing. The other word that really rings a bell to me is attainable, and it's really connected to what I said already.
Hmm.
Something has to be attainable. Sometimes I am so convinced that sometimes we set goals because it's what we think we should do, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to what God is saying
Mm-hmm.
and
Woo.
what we really want to do. Does that make sense? Like,
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We all do it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we make goals because we think it look good to say that this is my goal. And okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um that is one of the things, it looks good for me to say I'm going to do this
Hmm.
by the end of the year.
Hmm.
And so if I'm discussing it, and this is me, if I'm discussing it
Hmm.
and I'm talking to somebody, I plan to
Hmm.
do, and I had 10 things I plan to do by the end of the
Hmm.
year when I should have just chose three.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The three made more sense. Ebony, can you hear
Hmm.
us? The three made more sense than for me to set 10 goals. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and the only person who knows my goals is me and maybe my accountability partner,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the things I really think we should all have is an accountability partner, someone who says,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, how's that going? Are you on track?" I don't know if,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Ebony can hear us yet, but yeah, that's one of those things that we should always do is have an accountability partner. Ebony did S and A. Can you hear us now, Ebony? I think she's still trying to hear us. We're gonna keep going, and when she does hear us, she'll jump back in, I'm sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so let's Adrienne, can you talk about the realistic goals?
So they have to be realistic. And I wanted to tap into something that Ebony said. She can't hear. Yeah. I
Okay.
wanted to tap into something she said about our reason for doing it. Our
Mm-hmm.
goals really have to be aligned with our purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Who
Come
are
on.
you? What is it that you're called to do? And how does this goal align with it? Because we can determine that we want to do something outside of our purpose and set all these lofty goals, and we don't even have the energy, nor we don't have the anointing, we don't have the creative force
Shh.
behind us or
Come
within us
on.
that's going to help us create it because it's outside of his will for our life. It's not what he created you to do. And so when you're smack dab in the middle of your purpose and you set goals that are related to what you're called to do,
Mm-hmm.
then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes easier,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are more realistic because all of your gifts and your talents line up to those
Up
goals.
to those.
I
That's
can
right.
say all day long that I wanted to sing on stage and I'm going to take some classes and I'm going to do all this when I wasn't born with that singing voice. I'm a backup singer. I am
Mm-hmm.
not the soloist. So that
Come
goal to
on.
me is unrealistic. So it has to be in line with what you're called to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, because the one thing that happens is um when you do it and you're not called to do it, it
Mm.
falls.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the last thing you want to do is with the last thing you want to do is move forward on something that
Mm-hmm.
is destined to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, when you do that, then you're dealing with the feeling of failure. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
setting yourself up for emotional turmoil
Absolutely.
because now you're dealing with
Absolutely.
that rejection and I failed and I blew it
Absolutely.
and I'm not this and I'm not
That's
that
right.
when you were never called to do that anyway. That
Right.
wasn't in your gift set, that wasn't in
Mm-hmm.
your skill set.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right.
And don't forget that everything that we've been talking about being intentional, the Word of God tells us that we are snared by the words of our mouth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you let your mouth write a check that your body can't cash. That's not fair to you.
Right.
Because just
Right.
as Adrienne just said, you open yourself up to unnecessary warfare when it
Yeah.
it it wasn't for you anyway. That's why it's vital for you to be, excuse me, honest with yourself and
Mm-hmm.
honest with God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, as we delight ourselves in Him, He gives
Yes.
us the desires of our heart.
Right.
Yes.
And when we go to Him and say, Father, what would you have me do? Where am I? Everybody's saying, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my purpose is. Honey, yes, you do. You just don't know it's your purpose.
Right.
What
Mm-hmm.
could you do for free and still be filled up by?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
What is that thing that fills you up? They could wake you up out of your sleep and you could do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Figure
Yep.
that part out. And then when you begin to set goals, one thing about the pandemic opened up a whole bunch of creativity in
Mm-hmm.
individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Because there wasn't anybody hiring. There wasn't anybody
Right.
saying, well, there's an open call over. Nope, there wasn't any. So you learned how to bake those cookies. You learned how to make those masks. You learned how to do those things. And honey,
Mm-hmm.
you learned how to crank that stuff out and do what you do.
Yes.
Maybe if you open an embroidery business.
Right.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I see that. Come on. But that is, I mean, but when you're honest with
Absolutely.
yourself, then one of the R is for relevant or relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't
Yes.
let it be this pie in the sky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How will this serve you now? I know we think legacy, we think all this true, but what you do right now has so many dividends. Don't miss that. Adrienne, when you said celebrate even the small things that you
Mm-hmm.
were able to accomplish, I
Yes.
know
Mm-hmm.
you had 10 things. Thank God for the two things that you were able
Right.
to accomplish. That's two more things that you hadn't done.
Right.
Yes, yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So give
don't
yourself.
sabotage yourself
Woo.
by dwelling on the things that
What
you
you
didn't do.
didn't. Yeah.
Because a lot of times that is where we sabotage ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
don't pat ourselves on the back for what we did good, but
Mm-hmm.
we're very good at magnifying
Mm-hmm.
what we didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing is to learn not to magnify, because magnifying the
Mm-hmm.
bad is self-sabotaging. Then you
Yep.
begin to dwell on, well, I didn't, instead of going on, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those things. And the affirmations is one of the things that Adrienne talks about. And I'm gonna let you talk about it, Adrienne, but it helps me. So the affirmations, saying your affirmations in the morning, reading your
Mm-hmm.
affirmations in the morning, that
Mm-hmm.
really, really helps. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here and I'm gonna be a little transparent, and probably, I hope you guys don't think this is silly, but today I was trying to decide what I was going to wear.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I wanted to wear something specific is because this shirt is an affirmation. It says worthy, chosen,
Mm-hmm.
redeemed, and loved.
Yes.
Okay. Those are things that I need to repeat to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so when I come online, I always try to wear something that is affirming, something
Good
that will
girl.
raise
Yeah.
somebody else
Yeah.
up. Because even if they
Yeah.
don't, my face is not the most important, but the words that I have on right now
Yes.
to
Yeah.
me matter
Yeah.
more. Tammy
Yeah.
has on, I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse that pray. I believe that's what
Yeah.
it says.
In the
Okay.
name of
In
Jesus.
the
Mm-hmm.
name of Jesus. So, those words on your chest does mean something.
Mm-hmm.
People recognize Superman by that S on his chest.
Yes.
Okay.
Say
And we
it.
want to be recognized by our positivity and not by what we didn't
Yes.
do, but by
Mm-hmm.
what we did
Mm-hmm.
do.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
first person who have to recognize us is us.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Good stuff.
Yes.
First person who have to recognize us for who we are is us. If
Right.
we can recognize ourselves
Mm.
for who we are, because knowing who we are, can recognize ourselves
Mm.
for who we are, but it's okay. Knowing who we are, if we can recognize who we are to ourselves, because this is the thing, a lot of times we don't recognize us.
Right. Right. Right.
We don't recognize us. That's a big one, when you don't
Mm-hmm.
recognize you
Right.
because you don't know you. So part of being the intentional thing is to know who you are, because then
Mm.
you can make
Very
better
good.
intentional decisions.
Decisions. Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, I'm not gonna keep talking because I could talk a lot.
Mm.
Anybody else want to jump in?
No, but that's good. Knowing who you are allows you to make good decisions. That is powerful, because when you know who you are, you know what you're called to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know your skill set, and you
Mm-hmm.
know where you can make a difference. You know where you can make the difference in your life, and you know where you can make the difference in others' lives. And so that gives you an appreciation and energy and creativity to do just what you're called to do, or just what you say you're going to do.
Very good.
You talked about focus. When we focus on the small things,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you focus your attention on, that's the thing that magnifies.
It gets bigger.
So if you're
Absolutely.
focusing on the negative thing, that's the thing that keeps overwhelming you. That's why you keep being more depressed. That's why you keep or don't have the energy, because you keep saying, well, I'm this and I'm not that and I'm the other and I should have, and all of that stuff becomes your primary focus. But when you begin to do like Lydia says, start your day with, I am worthy, I am loved, I am loving, I'm capable, I'm amazing. I am positive, I've got skill sets, I'm a finisher, I am powerful, I can do whatever I've set my mind to do, I can do everything that's in my hand to do, everything I put my hands on will prosper. When you start your day like that, that gives you energy. Every place the sole of my feet shall tread, God's given it to me. I'm going to be walking on some stuff today. This is what I'm walking out. This is what I'm going to do, because I am able to do it. If you get that, if you feed yourself that daily, then you'll see your energy level and your productivity increase daily.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the other part about that, Adrienne. We were talking about what your purpose is and knowing yourself. Sometimes what your purpose is what you're already doing. Stop looking for something new to do and expand on what God has already given you. So a lot of times, I'm looking at Ebony. Ebony has taken the gift that
Oh
God
my
has given her,
goodness.
and that she's
Yes.
expanded it from a podcast, books, speaking
Mm-hmm.
engagements. But
Mm-hmm.
it started off, she was just doing what were you doing, Ebony? Just counseling at first?
Mm-hmm.
And that has expanded that. So she took the talent.
Right.
So I'm gonna be a little churchy like Tammy for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
She took the talent. So the Bible says that
Mm-hmm.
the master gave out talents. He
Mm-hmm.
gave one five. He
That's
gave
right.
one three. He gave one. And she
Mm-hmm.
took the talents and she expanded it like the man who had
Mm-hmm.
the five and expanded it to 10.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that we tend to forget, especially as females, is that we can expand our talent. So you take care of kids all the time. You have a knack with children. Maybe your talent is daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think about these things. So maybe my business, because we all probably, and I'm not going to say definitely, but I believe that we all do have some type of business venture within
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
it within us,
Mm-hmm.
but we have
Mm-hmm.
to figure out what our niche is. So you take that one talent
Mm-hmm.
and you grow that thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so we don't want to be like the man who took his talent and buried it in the
And
ground,
buried it. Come
because
on.
that says we don't have faith.
Right.
And we do have faith. We have faith in
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. We have faith in God, and
Mm-hmm.
we always say we got faith in God. But do you have faith in yourself?
That's so good.
Do
Mm-hmm.
you have faith in yourself?
Mm.
Because I can't believe God the right way if I don't believe me. If I don't believe
Okay.
in me, this man who hid that talent, he said his
Mm-hmm.
reason was because I knew you were a hard taskmaster who take things
Yep.
that you do not make
Mm-hmm.
yourself. But this is the
Mm-hmm.
thing. In this season, God is saying, Lord help me.
Come on.
God is saying in this season that when you believe in you
Mm-hmm.
with the talent I gave
I
you,
got you.
then I got you and you expand and you don't have to worry about me being a taskmaster who taking something that I didn't create,
Amen.
because you are my creation.
Mm-hmm.
And as you expand,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I expand. I'm
Absolutely.
And
gonna stop talking again because I can go.
Mm-hmm.
you brought up a really good point, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that I say all the time too. A lot of times when we are searching for our purpose, right,
Mm-hmm.
or searching for our reason why on earth, a lot of times we see purpose as a destination. And I always say that purpose is a journey, because at
Come
the end
on.
of the day, I could be a singer. Let's just say I have the gift of
Mm-hmm.
exhortation,
Mm-hmm.
and along with that gift of exhortation, I am able to minister through singing. The
Mm-hmm.
gift of exhortation can be applied in different settings and environments. And that's why it's always important for us not to get stuck at the gift as the destination, but instead of looking at that, look at it as a journey. Because maybe I am exhorting through song
Mm-hmm.
today. Tomorrow or next week, I could be exhorting through poems. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
next year,
Wow.
I could be exhorting through organization, being an
Mm-hmm.
organizational
Mm-hmm.
change
Mm-hmm.
agent,
Mm-hmm.
so that journey allows us to understand that wherever we are positioned, our gifting will be manifested.
Come
So
on.
we can't always look at it like just this one
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that's why when we look at ministry and marketplace, the
Mm-hmm.
community, all of those
Yes.
areas, the gift that God has given us will
Come
never
on.
change, but they'll be manifested based upon the positioning that
Mm-hmm.
He has us for in every season. And so it's so important for us to understand that when I look at my journey
Mm-hmm.
as a social worker,
Mm-hmm.
I was born with gifts. All of
Mm-hmm.
us are born with
Mm-hmm.
gifts.
Yes.
That's why we oftentimes are more prone in the careers and the
Mm-hmm.
professions that we're
Mm-hmm.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe I was stationed in a school for a few years. I'm stationed in the hospitals for a few
Mm-hmm.
years. I'm stationed in the community for a few years. It's the same purpose, it's the same gift, but God is
Mm.
positioning me and sending me to the places in which He needs me in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I always say that to people because sometimes, we look at the jobs that we're in now and we're like, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
be in that. I don't want to do this. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
I challenge everyone that says that the gift
Mm-hmm.
inside of you can be manifested wherever
Come
you
on.
Where
are.
you are.
So
Come
we're
on.
like that job or not, it's time for you to tap into the gift that God is giving you so he can manifest in that area. He'll move you somewhere else, but you first you got to figure out why you're there.
Yes.
Because it might not be the ideal position for
Come
you.
on.
Doesn't mean that the glory of God can't be manifested there. So a lot of times, when we look at our positioning, right, we take that for granted and we feel like we're not doing something. We feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And maybe in some cases, we're not where we're supposed to be. But even in that, God can get the glory because he has deposited something in you for wherever you go. And so it's always about the journey and not a specific destination.
Absolutely.
And to piggyback on what Ebony is saying, you are God's glory.
That's right.
Say it.
I want you to understand, because some people, they say, well, I'm not churchy. We're not being churchy with you right now.
Come on
I
now.
want you to understand that as you expand, you become God's glory, even if you don't know it.
Right.
Okay. And so this is not a churchy talk. This is as you expand, because he made you, even if you don't believe in it, he made all of us, he made us. And so as we begin to use the talents that he gave us and expand those talents, you say, oh, you already God's glory. So, some people say, oh, Oprah is not a churchy person. Oprah is God's glory because she has taken the talent that God has given her and has expanded it. And she has reached way more people than she would have reached if she had never stepped out. And so the whole thing about that is, as I minister, as I go out and as I touch, because I'm just touching from person to person, as I touch, then I'm spreading God's glory, even when I don't know that I'm spreading it.
Yes.
Because I am God's glory. His glory is us as we go ahead and expand because of what he's put on us. It shows his glory. You don't even have to try to. Just know who you are and let him get the glory out of who he made you to be.
And as you step into that place, that wherever I am God's glory, that causes a metamorphosis to occur inside of you.
Yes. Yep.
And guess what? It turns you into a cheerful giver, where you bubble over with it. And God prizes the cheerful giver. And when God prizes something, he raises it and puts it on display. Because he understands that when God says clean hands and a pure heart, clean hands is what we can do. Okay, but that pure heart, that's an inner working. That's a God thing. That's a thing between you and God. And when you get to that place where that's how you're operating, success is yours.
Yep.
Because now, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. With these SMART goals and stuff. Well, I know, Tammy, you just so churchy. I understand. But the word says, study to show thyself approved. A workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay. Oh. I know everybody has their truth. Okay. But let's grab onto your gift will make room for you.
Yes.
When you shine that gift up, when you shine that thing up, and some of the chamois cloth are these SMART goals that we set.
Yes.
Okay. When we march that thing up, when we get in cadence with what we need to do in life, what we need to accomplish in order to put it on the best mantle possible, what God has placed in us, the gift will make the room. Shine it up and keep it ready. Shine it up, honey. I stayed locked and loaded, as you well know, locked and loaded. No matter where, you can wake me up and I'm gonna preach. I stay locked and loaded, but that's part of my gift. And see, I was wondering, well, God, why was I a nurse for 40-some years? Why? Because he taught me how to critically think. He taught me how to look at situations. He taught me how to come up with a diagnosis. He taught me how to come up with a care plan.
Yes. Come on.
Exactly. And so therefore, I just parlayed all of those skills that when I'm out winning souls. Oh, shut now. I see this. I hear things when God is telling me. And listen, as a nurse, I also had to learn how to hear. Oh, okay. Just a little teeny thing. There are 5 sounds of the heart. I mean, no. 5 sounds. We take the blood pressure, and they're called the Korotikoff sounds. But you have to listen carefully to hear those little teeny differences. And so I'm like, God, why was that a big deal? Is because sometimes when you hear them talk, when you hear them saying, well, Sister Tammy, this happened, Sister Tammy, that happened, you're listening for the changes and you know how to pray. You're
Amen.
listening for the changes and you know what to share with them. And how do I know how to do that? Because I've learned to sharpen up my gift, to shine it up. I've learned how to make some goals intentionally so that I don't miss it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
That was real good. Tammy, we ain't gonna give you no offering today, but that was good.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
No, but that was real good. And again, Tammy just expressed expanding the talent.
Right.
Expanding the talent that we all have. And we really, guys, we really as ladies, we
Mhm.
have to stop getting overwhelmed by everything and letting it just
Mm.
wash over us
Wow.
and start putting it in order.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because when it washes over us, that's what it's doing,
Mhm.
washing over us. We're
Over
under it,
us.
trying to
Wow.
stand up under it. Yeah,
Oh.
that's exactly, Adrienne. It's washing over us. Every time the wave is just going over us and we're putting our head up trying to breathe
Oh.
outside of the water. And don't we get tired of that?
Yeah.
Don't
Woo.
we just get tired of that?
And it
That's just
saps
so
your
tiring.
energy. It saps your
Yeah,
energy.
because your energy is gone, and all you can do is when you is sleep and get up and start over again, drowning. But when we are intentional about what we're doing, we can,
Mhm.
we can go ahead, go along.
Mhm.
I have my own situation here, and
Mhm.
I've been talking to Tammy. I talked to Adrienne about it. Ebony wasn't here yet, but I've been in a situation for what, about 5 months.
Mhm.
But God's grace has carried me through.
Come on.
Mhm.
You have to understand, and it wasn't just His grace carried me through because when the situation came, He said, "Plan."
Mhm.
So this is the thing. I'll say it. I lost my job. I'm in a whole nother state and lost my job that brought me
Mhm.
here. Okay. But when I lost my job, as soon as it happened, He said, "Plan."
Mm.
So I was able to plan out months. So
Mhm.
I've been here, been able to plan out, and the plan is working, guys.
Mhm.
God knows it's working, and
Come
it's
on.
only the grace of God. And it's only because He said plan. Because
Mhm.
if I hadn't planned, I'd be in a real bad situation right now.
Mm.
But the plan is working. So
Yeah.
we
Amen.
have to be
Glory to God.
intentional and plan. And while you're
Glory to
intentional and
God.
planning and doing the one thing that He tells you to
Mhm.
do, He brings in other things. So, like Tammy said, over this time, I've been able to start an embroidery business.
Mhm.
I've been able to expand streaming business.
Mhm.
Why? Because He said
Mhm.
plan. So
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
the and don't let me act like that it's not worrisome not having a job. It's
Mhm.
very worrisome.
Mhm.
But being an entrepreneur is also something that time that I was giving to someone else, I'm able to give to myself
Mhm.
until the next
Good girl.
place, the next
Yeah.
opportunity opens.
Good girl.
And so, guys, intentional. I can't say it enough. Being intentional about what you're doing, even when it doesn't look like a good situation,
Mhm.
Yeah.
makes the difference. It
Mhm.
Yeah.
really does. I promise you. I can't say it enough. Being intentional about it makes the difference because I could sit here and cry all day.
Mhm.
Y'all, and anybody who's been without a job understand that when you start looking and things don't come through as fast as you want, the tears.
Yeah.
Come
That's,
nice and fast.
yeah.
That's life happening to you. And
That's
Right.
then bills start to make the decision for you. So you can't be intentional. Because the bills start to say, we need this money now. So instead of getting a
Mhm.
job that suits you, you take the first one that comes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. So this
Mhm.
is part of that intentional planning. You have to say, hey, this is where I want to go. This is what I want. And because I have this saved, or I have this severance, or whatever you have, this is how I
Mhm.
can plan it out. And believe it,
Mhm.
when you put your mind to it, God will bless it.
Mhm.
I'm trying not
Amen.
to be churchy, but I can't help myself today.
Right. Right.
God
Right.
will
Right.
bless it because He is
Mhm.
our redeemer. He is our sustainer. He is
Mhm.
the one who keeps us. And He is the one who helps us to make these intentional
Mhm.
decisions. He didn't send Jesus to die on a whim, y'all.
Come on now.
There was a plan.
It was a
Anyway,
plan.
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. And one of the
Mhm.
things that I was thinking of, Lydia, as you were talking, is also, it's important for us to always remember that our setbacks and the things that we deal with
Mhm.
um, while we are on our journey through purpose, it doesn't change God's plan or promise.
Woo.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Sometimes when we are set, let's just say we feel like you feel it with the example that what you just gave. God told you to go to that state. He told you, he gave you the instruction to relocate. He didn't tell you you were going to lose a job. He just
Ooh.
You got that right.
so, or whatever it might be, or maybe he told you to start that business. He didn't tell you you weren't going to get any customers for the first 30 days.
Come
You
on.
know what I mean? But he told you to start that business. And so
Mhm.
sometimes, well, not sometimes, all of the time,
Yeah.
it's important for us to be clear of what we heard and to always stand on that. Now, discouragement, no's, all of those things are going to come. They are a part of our process, but we have to be unwavering in not only in our faith, but in our will to do. Okay, you lost your job, but you're still moving forward. You're still moving, whatever it is you increased or expanded things that you were doing in your business. You still have to move forward. There are some times when we get setbacks and we allow those things to take us out. And it's almost like, okay, you get a minute or two to, to deal with your emotions. But then after that, you
Okay.
got to get up and move. You
Okay.
got to figure out what God, what are you saying? And the first thing God going to say is the same thing I said when I sent you out there. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we think that a plan is changed because we hit a bump in the road. And God is like, no, I knew that was going to happen. Right. So you just need to stay focused. And I say that because I think I can say for me, I've been there where you step out, you do something and it don't move the way you think it should. And then you start questioning yourself. Did God say it or did I say it? Did I move? Because, there have been times when I moved before God. So I start questioning my back right? But at the end of the day, especially when God said it, I still come back to the instructions God gave me. But now I have to deal with the fall. I have to deal with setback. I have to deal with the fact that, okay, I don't have a job. Okay, what I'm gonna do now? I got to do this. First of all, you're gonna do the same thing God told you to do. But the other thing, from a mental perspective with ourselves, we got to bounce back. We have to be resilient and enduring.
Yes.
And none of this is easy, but it's what we should be intentional doing.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So one thing I wanted to say, and I just think that it's amazing, when you went through the fire, you were not alone.
Yes.
Come on.
There was a fourth man in the fire with you. And that fourth man said, plan, because he knew where you were and what was coming, right? He knew what he put in you. And when you come out of the fire, you would be better. You wouldn't even smell like smoke.
Come on.
Even during that transition, all I saw was growth. I see the photo shoot and she done launched this and she's got all this amazing posts that she's putting up, all this confidence. And it's like, bam, 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 bam. So we forget that we were not in there alone.
Right.
Even though he sent you, he also sent you with a word. And he was there with you so that you didn't lose, you did not miss a beat. All you did was grow from it.
Yes. Yes. This has been a blessed season. That's how it's been a blessed season. And for you who are out there, it is your blessed season too. I want you to understand. This is your blessed season. And so no matter what that fire is that Adrienne is talking about, that you seem to be, that you don't see the fourth man, he's still there. Just listen. And sometimes it's a still small voice, because I don't say it's a still small voice, because sometimes it's a voice hollering at you, do X, Y, Z.
Okay.
And we're saying because our mental capacity says X, Y, Z doesn't make sense, I can't do X, Y, Z. Trust me today, do X, Y, Z. And watch what happens when you do X, Y, Z. Do that thing that doesn't make sense and watch what happens. Because it's a great thing. And the mental thing, Ebony, thank you, because I was going to ask you to address, because these things wear on us mentally. That's why we don't make intentional decisions anymore,
Mhm.
because we're emotional. We go straight to
Mhm.
emotional and stop
Come on.
making intentional decisions
Mhm.
Yeah.
because our emotions say, "What will I do?" Despair sets in,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
tries to set in first,
Right.
you know. And this is the thing: if you are on, find a counselor. I can't say it
Mhm.
enough. I say it every time I'm
Mhm.
on now.
Mhm.
Find a counselor. Find an
Absolutely.
accountability partner. Find somebody to talk to, because your
Mhm.
mind a lot of times is not going to tell you the truth about your
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm.
It's going to tell you to sit
Mhm.
down and put your head
Mhm.
under the covers
Yep.
Mhm.
and cry.
Mhm.
Literally, that in that order. Just it's over. It's over. and
Mhm.
and if you don't have somebody like these ladies who are on the panel today, if you don't have Ebony, Adrienne, Tammy, find your Ebony, Adrienne, Tammy.
Mhm.
That's right.
Find your combination, you
Mhm.
know. And if you're listening and you got a friend going through it, you be the Ebony, Adrienne,
Mhm.
Tammy for them.
Or
Mhm.
Lydia. Or Lydia.
Or Lydia,
Olivia.
or Lydia, but be that person, because
Right.
if we're not going through some of these things, we know people
Mhm.
who are.
That's right.
And
Absolutely.
as we take care of ourselves, then once we're whole, or once we're better, I won't say
Mhm.
whole because it takes time for us to be completely whole, but
Woo.
we can help someone else.
Mhm.
And that's what the line is done. And that's what these ladies groups are about, is sisters supporting sisters.
Mhm. Mhm.
So find somebody and help them. Even if you got to say, hey, let me take you to your counselor. Let's find somebody. Let's find a professional, because sometimes our friend just isn't enough.
Right.
We need to call Ebony at
Yep.
what is the name of it, Ebony?
At Nexus Wellness Group.
Nexus Wellness Group. We need
Yeah.
to call Ebony at Nexus Wellness Group.
Mhm.
Nexus Wellness Group. Where you located, Ebony?
Mhm.
Owens Mills, Maryland.
I know
Owens
that's
Mills,
right.
Maryland. Look up in the phone book. Go
That's right.
online. Nexus Wellness Group. You need to
Mhm.
talk to somebody. And Ebony
Sure.
has a sound mind. She has a great practice.
Mhm.
She not gonna help. She not gonna
Mhm.
send you in the wrong direction.
Mhm.
But this is what I'm saying. Call Adrienne. I got a dream. I don't
Mhm.
know how I'm getting there, but I know God told me this.
Mhm.
Dream Coach
Mhm.
on
I know that's right.
where you at, Adrienne?
Facebook, Discovering Treasures, Life Coaches, or Discovering Your Treasures on Facebook, and DT Dream Coach on Instagram.
There you
Amen.
go. Get with Adrienne.
Mhm.
Let me tell you, these ladies don't just help me, they can help you. Call Nurse Tammy. Let me tell you, pray down heaven. The angels be dancing around your situation. You be looking, saying, where they come from. Send me to just pray them down. Tammy, where can they find you?
I am Nurse Tammy R on Instagram, and I'm Tammy R Saunders on Facebook,
A
and I'm
nurse.
also Tammy Saunders on Clubhouse
There you
at
go.
Titus 2 Prayer and Sound Doctrine on
There you
Clubhouse.
go. A
Yeah.
nurse that prays in Jesus' name.
Mhm.
So she
Mhm.
can tell you how to physically be better, and she can work with you spiritually. I'm telling
That's
you, guys, this has been an awesome session. We're going to end soon, but making intentional decisions.
Mhm.
Don't let life make the decision for you.
Mhm.
Be
that's right.
intentional about making the
Mhm.
decision for yourself. Life will push you around like a bully.
Mhm. Ah, wow.
Life will push you around like a bully if
Wow.
you don't have a plan of your own. It
Mhm.
will push you around like a bully. And when it seems like you're off track, just go back and look at the plan. You're not off track, just get back on it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really can. I'm
Yeah.
talking a lot, guys. Before we end, you
Absolutely.
guys want to each have a closing word? That's what I want to say. Let's start with Adrienne. You want to have a closing word?
Just encourage everybody to do what you say you're going to do. Fulfill your dream. Be intentional about setting your goals
Mhm.
and achieving them.
Uh,
Mhm.
Ebony?
I just want to encourage everyone to be patient and kind and
Mhm.
gracious to yourself as you journey through your goals and also through your purpose. Understanding that when you trust in God and believe in yourself, there's
Mhm.
nothing that is too far or too wide for you to attain.
Mhm.
Amen.
Amen.
And Evangelist.
One of the big deals, I love to encourage everyone to be honest about where you are and where you're not. what you know that you will do and what you know that you won't do. Understand that the gift will make the room, and what God has for you is for you. Just clear the landing pattern so that, honey, it can get to you.
All right.
Amen.
And what I
Amen.
will say to you as we close, thank you for joining us again on the Lioness Den.
Mhm.
Please like and subscribe to us. We have HDK Productions on YouTube. Like our channel, hit the little bell so that you'll be notified whenever we go live.
Mhm.
We're also on Roku and Amazon Fire as Enlightenment Network. And and if you need something embroidered, hit up Embroidery by
Mhm.
Lydia. That's my new business, guys. It's working out pretty well. Um, and if you need streaming services, also hit up HDK Productions.
Yeah.
Guys, we appreciate you so much joining us every time we're here. We're here at least once a month. For mental health, we're here at least once a quarter.
Mhm.
Do not ignore your mental health. Your feelings are important.
Mhm.
That's
Your feelings are important. And if you need somebody to talk to, you can always contact us here at the Lioness
Mhm.
Den online. And we will, if I can't answer your question, I will definitely, or if I can't help you, I will definitely point you to one of these
Mhm.
ladies or someone who can.
Mhm.
There are resources out there.
right.
Please do not sit in silence
Mhm.
and miss what God has for
Mhm.
you.
Amen.
Please do not sit in silence and
Mhm.
go leave this place,
That's
Wow.
but
right.
let us be together as a community.
Absolutely.
That's
Let us help you as a community because your
Mhm.
mental health is important. Thank you
Yes.
again. I
right.
pray that you have a blessed weekend. For you fathers out there, I pray that you have a wonderful Father's Day.
Yes.
And I don't want to forget, please join us next week. We have a special Father's Day edition of the Lioness Den. It will be the
Cool.
first
Very
time that
cool.
we've done this, but I know some very anointed, enlightened men who
Mhm.
are fathers, and they're going to tell us a story that we don't get to hear the father side of the story.
Okay.
And
Amen.
so join us next week. Our guests will be Guy Chapman, Mark James, James Connor, and Donnell Ely. Join us. Hear these
Very
guys.
good.
And our host next week will not be me, by the way. The host will be Alonzo Chapman. So please join us next week for
Amen.
our Father's Day special.
Very good.
It will be enlightening. Women, you want to know the secrets to fathers? You want to know what
Oh,
they're thinking when we have our thoughts? They're going to tell us next week. Join
very
us,
good.
please, here on the Lioness Den at 11 a.m. next Saturday morning, June the 18th. Thank you again for joining us, and we pray that you have a blessed,
Amen.
progressive, productive, peaceful day. Bye bye.
Amen. Bye bye.
Bye bye.